Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about goals, and not just the fact that they're important, but a deeper dive into how to have efficient goals that can actually help you get to what you want. So chances are, if you've been on this channel, you've probably heard me talk about goals and their importance. And they are important because they are really a reflection of what you want, and they are you reaching for accomplishing that. All right, goals are basically desires that you have, whether you know them or not, that can bring some sort of benefit or some sort of happiness or joy or sense of fulfillment in your life. And that is why they're important, not just because people say that, hey, have goals and do this and that and the other thing just to keep busy. No, it is actually something that works in service of you. So I like to break goals down into like three layers. There's the overarching goal. There's the level right below that is directly connected to that overarching goal. And then there's the goals below that connect to those smaller goals, or the more so medium goals that ultimately lead you to the larger goal. So you can level this to however you want, but that's kind of how I like to think about it. There's the overall goal, right? And let's talk about the overall goal. So this is something that I discovered in my life. And again, you probably heard me talk about this several times before. One of my overall goals is to be able to make an impact on as many lives as I can while I'm alive. That is to be able to make a positive impact on lives of many people. Anyone that I find or encounter in life, I want to be able to make a positive impact on their life. That's a bit of an overall goal, right? It sounds vague, I know. It sounds very general. But through time, I have actually been able to narrow that down just a little bit more. But again, that is the core of I like to think of it as the core of my being or whatever. I like to think of that as my purpose in life. And that is something that I decided upon what that would be, right? Below that level are the more so smaller goals, right? And at this level, just to kind of relate this to everyone, at this level are the sort of pieces that you have to have in place in order to have a chance at that overarching goal, right? So with what I just said, and with many of your goals, to be honest, there's some sort of financial element to them. If you want to travel the world, if you want to, buy cars or, race or whatever it is. And I say some of these things just because a lot of them are things that I want to do, not necessarily the car thing. But anyways, whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever it is that you found that you really want to do at that top level, there's some sort of financial aspect to that. There's a financial element that may have to be satisfied, and that could be a large sum of funds, and it could be a low sum of funds. Whatever it is, the thing is, you're not at that level yet, and that's the reason why it's a goal. So there's that piece, and then there's also another piece of that with time, right? So how much time does it actually take in order to accomplish that overarching goal? So below those two levels, and there's other components and pieces that can go there as well, pretty much checkpoints in the process. But below those are the smaller components or smaller tasks, things that you have to do. And this is where a lot of the work especially comes off at this level. These are the things that you have to do in order to reach that second level, right? So the financial goal, what are you doing to get there, right? Are you going to have to invest in getting new skills to earn more income? Are you going to have to completely change your career? Or are you going to have to, basically what is it that you have to do in order to satisfy the financial goal? And those are things that you kind of break down. You can break this down to as many layers as necessary. As far as I'm going to do this is one source of income. This is another source of income. I'm going to invest. I'm going to work this job, do this other thing, have this business or whatever on the side. These are the small things that kind of help you establish that or reach that financial goal. And as I said on the other side, the time. So this time basically, I think that there's a set requirement or a minimum requirement of time that has to be invested in whatever goal that you're trying to reach, right? And this is the part that I think that sometimes we can underestimate just how much time and effort that it actually takes to reach that goal. I think that many of the successful people that we're aware of now, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, all these people that have, reached a certain level of success in their life, and it's not just because of their wealth, it's because of the things that they're doing, right? And the fact that they got to that point for some reason. And I like to think that what allowed them to get to that point is, amongst many other factors, is that they put in a lot of time, right? They put in a lot of effort, a tremendous amount of effort. And I think that this is the piece that sometimes when we look at other people who have achieved and accomplished what they want in their life, I think that this is the piece that sometimes we may look right over is just how much they did. Steve Jobs, if you look at some of his interviews, he talks about how there were times where he put in like 80-hour work weeks and that sort of thing. And this is not to say that, hey, now you got to start putting in 80-hour work weeks, because most of us, we have jobs. But the thing with having a job is, well, you work that job during the day, and this is satisfying a piece of that financial goal. But then you have to actually put in time outside of your job to build whatever it is on the side that can be another source of income, or again, basically something helping you get towards the overarching goal. So it's not to talk about that, hey, you got to put in a ton of hours during the week, but I think that maybe, I don't know what it could have been. Maybe it was their drive or the obsession of what they were trying to accomplish, or just them being so passionate about what they were doing. But whatever that is, allowed them to put in that time that it took. Now, again, we may not be able to put 80-hour work weeks directly into what we're working on, again, because sometimes we may have our jobs, right? We have to have that steady source of income. All of us are in different positions, so maybe this may not apply to you, but I think for most people, this is the way it is. This is certainly how it is for me. I have my job that I'm doing during the day, and then during the nights, at least lately for the past several months, I have been in a massage therapy program, and I talked about changing your career and how to be able to do that in another video. Basically, a lot of time lately for me has been put in investing in getting another skill, right? Getting a skill that I can do. And it's required time sacrifice. It's required energy. It's required sleep sacrifice in order to do this. I basically work from 8 to 4 or so. And then after that, I'm pretty much going directly to my classes. And I'm not done in my classes until like 10:30 p.m. Or working in the clinic. And it's like that from Monday through Thursday. So there is a huge time requirement. There's a level sometimes of sleep that I've had to sacrifice recently. Not that I wanted to, but it's just the way it's been. But again, what that's doing is allowing me to invest in a different area, right? It's allowing me to slowly transition into having a different skill that I can do. I can use that to my advantage to bring more income. I can use that to my advantage to maybe, do business in that area myself. So again, that is one of the things that you have to be cognizant of. Are you underestimating just how much it takes? Because you got to make sure that you're not doing this, because you look back, when you go forward in life, you don't want to look back and say that you didn't put in enough work, you didn't put in enough time, and whatever that takes is all subjective. It's based on what we're trying to accomplish, and maybe that's not subjective. But so what I'm trying to say is that each goal that we have, whatever we're trying to accomplish, it may have a different level of difficulty. If you're trying to become a millionaire, that may have a higher level of difficulty than, becoming or making six figures. Obviously, that's a lot more money. That's going to require a lot more work. It's going to require a lot more knowledge. Other pieces in there, some luck and all these sorts of things. So every goal that we have has a different level of difficulty, and you got to be able to really assess that yourself and look at it and be realistic about what it is that you're going after. And that's one of the important components of goals as well. Be realistic. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to set yourself short. This doesn't mean you have to set yourself short and go for something easy. I don't necessarily think that, going for I don't think there is really an easy route. And if there is an easy route, it probably won't lead to where you're going. But anyways, you got to set that and, really assess, am I really putting in enough work? Like, really, what I'm trying to go after, what does it really take? Am I seriously putting in enough time and effort to make this happen? Or has time slipped away? How long have I been working on this goal? How many times have you seen people, and I've seen this a lot, where it seems that every summer they're trying to reach the beach bod, right? They're trying to reach that summer body, but they never reach it. But the next year they think that all of a sudden they're going to reach it by doing the same thing that they did the previous year. Or they have this idea of what they want to do or how much work they're going to put in, and they don't do it, right? They hit the same plateau or the same place, and then winter comes and it's back on the routine of eating or however. But then the new year comes, it starts getting warm again, and they have this goal: I'm going to reach that beach spot, and they've been trying to reach that body for the past 5 years. And this is just not to pick on weight or anything like that. It's just basically to say that sometimes sometimes we have these goals or things and that they're really important to us, because why would we continue to visit them if they're not? But the thing is, we don't put in effort. We don't put in serious effort. We underestimate what it takes, and we don't reach it, and then we let go of it for a little while and we come back to it. And that's basically what you don't want to do. You don't want to do that for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, because you're gonna be just stuck in limbo. You're not gonna make any progress towards what you're trying to accomplish. So again, when it comes to time, you just gotta ask yourself, time and effort. All right. After I worked my job or whatever, how much time am I putting into actually progressing towards the bigger goal that I have, or this smaller task that's going to help me reach that bigger goal? That could be an hour a day, right? That could be 2, 3 hours in your afternoon. If you can spare that time, I know that some of us have families, some of us have kids and all this sort of stuff. So time may be difficult to come by, but again, if the goal is important to you, you got to find some way to squeeze that in, right? If you want to read a little bit more, you got to find some way to squeeze that in. I used to do this a lot, where I'd go in the bathroom and I just spend a little extra time in there and just read, or before bed. I spend a little time, 15 or so minutes just reading. And with the bathroom things, it's like, you could use that time to scroll on Facebook or YouTube, or you could use that time to do something. Bring your laptop in there, do some research on whatever you need to learn, or read the book on the subject related to whatever you want to learn. So there's small things that we can do to help us get more time. And to be honest, just the harsh truth of it is it requires a bit of sacrifice, right? The busier you are, the more responsibilities you have. If you're trying to reach something in your life while you have all these responsibilities, and while your time is very consumed by other, things, then it's just going to be rough. It's just going to be tough. And that's just how it is, right? And you can either complain about that. You can either look and say, oh, I have this, I have kids, I have family, I have all this sort of stuff to do. You can either complain about those things, which is not going to help you get there, or you can do something about it, right? Or you can at least try to modify other areas to do something about it, because ultimately you're the only person that can reach what you're trying to reach. You're the only person that can manifest into your life what you want to manifest. And the time that you spend saying just how difficult that is, or you can't do this, or I have all these responsibilities, all that time that you waste looking at how things are versus actually doing something about it, that time doesn't help you progress towards what you're trying to accomplish. So again, basically, when you look at that top level, and I talk about this a lot with basically the only way that you can know what you truly want, what really ties to you, what that core goal is. As I said before, my core goal is to make a difference in the lives of as many people as I can. That is very important to me. That is tied to at least I've elevated to a point where it's tied to my existence, and I am very driven to make that happen. The only way you can reach are knowing what that is that you really want to do at the core of your existence, or what you really want in your life, what really brings joy and a sense of fulfillment to you. The only way you really know that is through knowing yourself. You have to have some awareness of yourself, and that is another important thing, self-awareness, or awareness in general. So you got to know that in order to be able to establish the goal that really resonates with you. And when you know that goal that really resonates with you, I think that there's an inherent drive that comes with that, that's going to push you and make you do those things, make those sacrifices when they have to be made, and put the time and effort into to bringing into existence what you want to bring. So you really have to do that. You really have to put that time into knowing yourself, self-discovery. And I talked about this in some of my previous videos, so I won't talk about it here, but you really have to put that time into that to know what it is that you really want, right? And I think that's the part that a lot of people trip up over. And I've talked to people about this, some of my coworkers who just simply, they really want to do something. They really, don't like the position that they're in. They don't want to be doing what they're doing. But at the same time, they don't know what other thing that they want to do. They don't know what that other thing is that's going to help them get to where they really want to be. And I like to think that sometimes it just requires a little bit of time. It requires a little bit of self-reflection. It requires a little bit of time. If wherever you can go to get that bit of peace in your mind, that clarity, wherever you can go to find that, you got to go there. And for me, a lot of that time was spent out in nature or whatever. The past several years of my life, I spent a lot of time in the outdoors, and I think that played a huge role in me discovering what I have discovered with myself and being able to be connected with myself the way that I am. So that is an important part. You got to know that, right? And unless you have that thing that's really important to you, I think that you will miss out on that powerful energy, that drive that you can have that pushes you to do things that are going to contribute towards the goal. So you got to break the overall goal down and think about some of the smaller pieces that are going to help you get there, long term, short term, medium term. What are some of the components that help you get there? Like I said before, maybe short term is developing skills that can help you open up a new avenue to have income coming in or whatever. Or maybe it's not that. Maybe it's more so having those skills to do something that you're really passionate about and you want to develop those skills. And maybe that is the goal, to be able to do what you are passionate about and what you enjoy that brings fulfillment to you. Maybe that's your overarching goal, to be able to do that as your career. And that's completely fine. Again, whatever it is you're going after, as long as it brings fulfillment and joy into your life, that is what matters. So maybe that's one of the short-term goals. So you got to look at, what are these goals? How long can it potentially take me to get there? How long can it take me to actually make this happen? You got to be realistic about that, right? So I'd probably advise against saying, if you're going to say something like, I want to be a millionaire in the next 3 years or whatever, and I did this myself, and it wasn't necessarily because, I knew that something like that was going to happen. Like I said that I wanted to be that by 30. Well, I'm almost 28 and I don't have anywhere near $1 million sitting to the side. But one of the things was that I noticed when I said this a few years ago is that it more so pushed me to saying that I got to expand myself, right? It pushed me into realizing that I don't have the skill set to making that happen. I don't have, the knowledge that it takes to make that happen. All right. Okay, cool. How do I get that? What do I need to do to get that? And that's the important thing. Saying that drove me to expanding myself into multiple areas and expanding my knowledge base. And again, some of those things that may not have been connected at that point in time, as time has gone on, they begin to become connected, right? As Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. Only looking back can I now see how those things are connected now, how they're contributing towards the future that I want now. But anyways, you got to be cognizant of, the short-term goals. What pieces do I need to put into place? And again, be realistic about them. And if you're going to use something crazy, as I just said, then use it more so as a driver, right? And maybe you can accomplish that. Maybe if you're 27, 26 or whatever, maybe you can be a millionaire or whatever you want to be by the age of 26. Some people have done it. People do it. There's less people that do it, but the people that do it, there's a reason why. There's something in, luck, karma, or whatever it is. There's something that goes into the level of success that they have gained. Some goals can be, a few months from now, a few weeks from now, a few years from now, or maybe a decade from now. I recently decided that I want to have a property in, along the coast somewhere, maybe Florida or whatever, of a, something ideal or a goal that many people may have, having a location where I can kind of vacation to whenever I want, but more so as a source of income, a location that I can rent out or whatever. All right. So I look at my situation and be like, all right, how do I make this happen? Well, I know someone who does this, someone who works with me that does this, owns multiple properties and continues to expand in that area. All right. So maybe I can connect with him, begin to learn how he's done this. How can I do this and put that into place? That is not a goal that I have that's going to happen next year. At least I don't believe it's going to happen next year. I'm not going to live chaotically to try to make that happen next year, but I do want to expand my knowledge as much as I can, possibly as quick as I can, in order to make that happen. But that's more so, I've said that this is more of a 5-year goal maybe. I think that this can happen in the next 5 years. So that's where I'm putting myself, the next 5 to 6 years. I think that's realistic, right? I feel that that's realistic. Just based off of my situation now, where I'm at now, that is something that I think can make happen in 5 to 6 years. It's going to stay in my conscious. It's going to stay even in my subconscious to work towards that goal. So again, when it comes to certain types of goals like that, you just got to assess your situation, where you're at right now, what sort of financial resource do you have now, what sort of time you have now, and base when you can make this happen off of that. And the importance is just being realistic about that, because you don't want to make something crazy and it not happen, and then you lose hope and then give up on it, put it off to the side and wait a few years and then come back to it. No, you want to slowly, if you can, slowly progress and build yourself up to it. That's what you want to do. One of the components of achieving your goals, and I've talked about this before, is being willing to make the sacrifices. And a lot of times, most of the sacrifices that you will make will be in the form of time. That's where it's going to be. It's going to be moving the time away from this thing that you like to do, or the thing that, other people around you, they go out and have fun. it may be removing that time away from those sorts of things and moving it towards investing in making progress towards your goal. Sometimes it may be in the form of time sleeping. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. During my classes now, I've had nights where I've had to sacrifice sleep. It's just the way it is in order to study, in order to make sure that I'm getting the knowledge that I need, that I can apply to the next class period or whatever. So sometimes it just takes that, and that sucks. The goal is not to intentionally not sleep. The goal is to make the progress that you need to make, to do what it takes in order to hit the short-term goal, so that with that short-term goal can elevate you towards the long-term goal. But yeah, time is going to be most likely the factor that you sacrifice, and financial resources as well. It's not so much about how much you're saving. You do want to focus as well on making more income. That was I saw an article a few days ago that was talking about that, how most people have the idea that you want to save for your retirement or whatever, save for long periods of time, and then maybe when you're 60, 50 or whatever, 70, you have some money set aside and you can retire. Well, at that point, you're kind of already high in age. You still have time, but I'm saying at that point, you're not going to be at your peak. You're not going to be able to enjoy things as you would, or enjoy those resources as you would, perhaps at this point in time when you're younger. So I think that's a nice way to look at it. It's not so much about how much you're putting to the side, but it's also about how can you increase your income as well. And hey, increasing your income may mean that you have to put in more hours. I am sort of against the fact of trading hours for money, but you have to do that. At some point in time, you have to do that. Maybe it's just a part of that process. I'm doing it now, and with my job or whatever, maybe you just have to have that steady source of income going while you build other things up on the side, other sources of income or whatever. Again, it's just something that you have to assess your situation and determine what is the plan to make that happen. Actually, I'm about 5 minutes up on my camera, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But anyways, time, is going to be one of the major things you have to sacrifice. Financial resources. You may have to sacrifice not purchasing that new car that you want. You may have to sacrifice not, going out as much as you like, because that may mean that's more resources or, financial resources you can invest towards developing the skills. You can invest towards the tools that you need to do whatever you're doing to, build on the side. And a lot of times, when you make those sacrifices, you find yourself, you gain the time as well. If you're not going out and getting drunk for, 4 or 5 hours into the night, well, that's time that you could have used to actually make progress towards your goals. And the thing is, if you become obsessed with what you're trying to accomplish, and here's one of the things, people around you may not understand that, and that's fine. But the thing is, you have to make them understand that. You have to make them respect that. And if they don't, then you have a problem. Because ultimately, like I said before, you are the only person that can make happen what you want to happen. They are not responsible for that. They are not contributing towards that. If they are, that's great. But if they are distracting from that process, then you have a bit of a problem. So, you got to be able to make people understand that, hey, your time is important. You're going after something very important in your life, and that's just how it is. And that can cause problems. That can cause relationship problems with family, friends, and whoever. But I'm sure that, like I said, the road isn't going to be easy. It probably never will be, and maybe it will at some point. But again, it all comes down to your sacrifices, how important the goals are that you want to achieve, and what you're willing to put into making them happen. But anyways, I think I've hit on everything that I want to talk about today. I hope I've said something that can benefit you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe so you can stick around for more. And until next time, I'll catch you later.